the Congresswoman was taken to a facility in Houston, as opposed to the many wonderful facilities. We have the Mayo Clinic. We have many great facilities in Arizona, many rehab facilities.
But look at the facility she was taken to. It's connected to the military.
Right.
So what does that tell you? What are they doing to her? She's being programmed now to be represented to the population as a survivor of a vigilante attack, of a conspiracy theorist. She has survived this, and now you're going to see her propelled politically to the highest levels.
There's obviously a problem-reaction solution here. The problem was that we had supposedly a lunatic who came in with guns, which, by the way, doesn't it look like the Virginia Tech massacre? Isn't there a correlation here, perhaps even Columbine and others?
Yes, I've written about all of those. Every single one of them had to do with the programming trigger and activation. First of all, Columbine, it's interesting, because if you look at either immediately before, during, or after these events, there is some type of a weather anomaly in that region, like a vortex is created. And in the Columbine, Littleton, Colorado, there was this huge blizzard on May 1st, right after the shooting, blinding blizzard. And the first thing they said on the news was, "Oh, this is not unusual for this area this time of year." Well, yes, it is, because the people who live there say that's never happened before. The same thing happened with many of the other shootings all across the country. Huge rainstorms, floods occurred after some type of weather anomaly occurred because of the microwave and ELF pulse that was concentrated into that area. And so I also noticed in Arizona, shortly after that, an earthquake occurred just up north, a 3.5 quake in the central part of Arizona. You can look on the USGS map. I had never seen one there before, but could have been the result of this ELF pulse to trigger the vigilante programming.
Well, let me also mention that I monitor chemtrails almost on a daily basis just to make sure I know when they're spraying and when they're not. And the only times in the past few weeks that I saw them stop was Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And they continued as usual every single day. And that day I was going to film a lecture. And I noticed first thing I did was look in the sky, and it was clear, nothing at all. And immediately I was faced with traffic, and my wife called me that the shootings were taking place. What's your take on chemtrails?
Well, they've been going on for quite a long period of time, and they are filled with all kinds of bacteria, viruses, mycoplasmas, filaments that are designed to do several things. They are changing the genetic structures of the people that inhale them or breathe them in. They are creating illnesses to eliminate certain genetic types that they don't want around. And they're also creating this web, electromagnetic web in the ionosphere, so that there's a grid system being created over the Earth, and makes it easier to dial in to a particular area of a grid to send transmissions of the ELF or microwave or whatever is necessary for that area, according to the Illuminati. So there's many, many purposes for what they are doing with them.
Strontium, barium, aluminum, the incidence of all the mental disease, Parkinson's, and the others. I'm just trying to understand. Is there an activation process that has to take place for them to what I'm trying to say, is there an end game for chemtrails, or is this just a slow process?
Well, as I say, it's been going on, at least that I know of, since the mid-'80s. The chemtrails.
Oh, 80s.
Yes, I remember them. I used to, in those days, it was called high flyers, because you'd look up and you'd see these little lines forming over the sky. And in those days, back in the mid-'80s, it was only in English-speaking countries. We saw them in U.S., Canada, Britain, and Australia. Then, as we got into the 90s, we saw them in Germanic-speaking countries. I saw them in Switzerland and Germany. And then finally, the end of the 90s, they were everywhere. And so definitely they are manufactured artificially to change human life in conjunction with the HARP project, the satellite projects that's going on. There's so many things that they're doing in order to change life as we know it. And of course, what they're doing now is trying to create or recreate prehistoric conditions on the Earth. There's an ice age coming.
And they want to bring back the mammoth.
Yes, among other things. I wrote about this mammoth. They announced it on the news, but I wrote, if you had read the listeners read the website, back in 1999, when I was working in Oslo, Norway, I read a Norwegian newspaper then, and I'll never forget it, an article that said that Russian and Japanese scientists had cloned a mammoth from the cells taken from a frozen mammoth discovered in Siberia, and they had implanted an African elephant that could carry it to term, and that it would be due in a few weeks, and they were excited to see the results. And so was I. It's like, wow, I can't wait until they put in the newspaper when this mammoth is born. And there was never another word about it until last week.
Of course.
So
Jurassic Park is real then?
Oh, yes, it's very real. And, they have already recreated the Thunderbirds, which have been released in North America. They have done many, many experimentations that have been released over the decades. Mothman from West Virginia was part of that process. There's so much animal anomaly that they have created. Chupacabra, all these things have been creations that were released into the public.
Stewart, we have to take our one and only intermission. We have so much more to discuss. Folks, as you can tell, we are going to try to extract as much from Stewart today, but there's no way. We need a few days continuously to be able to talk with Stewart to get all this information. But in the meantime, Stewart, tell us how to get in touch with your work.
Yes, please go to expansions.com, and on there you can sign up for the free newsletter that you'll get every day, and there'll be a lot of information in there. And peruse the website. There's news, there's comments, there's articles, everything that you'd want to know about the world is in there.
And when we come back, there's a few elephants in the room. Number one, yesterday, a Utah Army base was closed, locked down because of a serious concern. There's Tunisia, now Egypt, with their revolts. This is unheard of, folks. I said it a couple of weeks ago. People were not discussing it. This is having a domino effect. Iran, the discussions broke down, and then 24 hours later, they sent their naval fleet to the Red Sea. 1:11, I want you to tell us what the meaning of 1:11. A lot of us look at the clock or the watch at 11:11 or 1:11 or 4:11, and it's not only me, it's everybody. And I want to discuss all these things with StewardSwerdlow. This is Mel Fabregas, and you're listening to Veritas. We'll be right back. Thank you very much for listening. We're going to talk more with our special guest in our members section. If you're not a member, just head on over to our website, veritashow.com, and click on the subscribe link to listen to the rest of the show. As a member, have you subscribed to the iTunes link? Let iTunes download all segments of each new show automatically. There's a link in the members section. Just click on it and let iTunes do the rest. We'll take a short intermission, listen to some music, and we'll be right back with more. Enjoy.
This is Sean David Morton, and you are listening to the Veritas Radio Show.